And we're off. I have no idea why I started saying that. Now I can't stop saying it at the beginning of every podcast, but here we are. So, anyway, welcome everyone. Episode 536 of the All Dolphins podcast. And I'm going to get the date right today. It's Wednesday, August 6th, 2025. The Miami Dolphins concluded practice number 12 of training camp, the last one at the Baptist Health Training Complex for a couple of weeks because they're now going on the road. And by the time you see this, they might be either in the air or already in Chicago, Illinois, for the first set of joint practices with the Chicago Bears on Friday. And I'm joined by Chris Perkins, who's got some catastrophe pending over him or construction in his building. One of the two. I certainly hope it's the latter. Perk.
I'm helping the Dolphins construct a secondary.
Wow, very nice.
How about that?
Very nice. See what he did there? Very nice. I don't know if there's much to talk about when it comes to the secondary today because that wasn't what stood out, and we will get to all of the practice observations from my man Perk and myself. Before we do that, we'll tackle the news of the day. After I tell you, ask politely, please like, subscribe, all that good stuff. Again, same pledge I made before I reach 20K. It'll be not only a hat, but a Dolphin jersey as well that I will wear. In the meantime, deal with this. Or this, one of the two. Right now, I'm not liking the way the hair looks, so I'm going back to this.
This is what you got to do. I'm telling you. I always like the way my hair looks.
See, but you can pull that off. I can't. I don't think it wouldn't be a good look with the just flat out old noggin here. I don't think you want to see that. Somebody famous once said, "Ain't nobody got time for that." Okay, we're gonna start, I guess. What stands out, what people are going to be talking about today, even though it may not be anything whatsoever. And there's reason to believe that it's not terribly significant, and I'll explain why. Tyreek Hill was not at practice, and no, this was not, as was the case earlier in training camp, an excused absence for personal reasons. He's dealing with some sort of injury. And where I say I don't think it's significant is because he was posting some stuff on Twitter. I couldn't really understand what he was talking about. It was a clip of him sprinting with some numbers. I think it was his mileage or how fast he was going. But then he said 98. So I don't know. Is that his Madden rating for speed? 98, I guess. But I would like to think, and again, with Tyreek, one never knows that if he was dealing with any sort of significant injury, he wouldn't be spending time on Twitter posting. But I could be wrong. I could be wrong, right, Perk?
You could be wrong. You never know with Tyreek. As I say, Tyreek gonna Tyreek. We remember last year around this time, there was that mysterious thumb injury in Tampa, right? Where McDaniel said they were thumb wrestling and he missed some time. So who knows, right? Who knows what's going on? All we know for sure is that Tyreek was not at practice today.
Correct. And again, we have no reason to believe it's anything of significance. If it is significant, again, that's a major if, but if it is, I think Perk and I have been very clear on how we feel about just how bad that would be for the Miami Dolphins offense, particularly if you believe in such things, the way the offense is looking the last couple of days, because it is. And for those listening on the podcast right now, I'm going to pinch my nose, fan my hand in front of my face to get the stench away, because the offense has looked bad with a capital B.
Yeah, and you know what's interesting, and I didn't note this today. Let me say this first. Tyreek was late for a practice earlier in training camp, and it was because he was getting some soreness. I was told that he had some soreness somewhere, and they weren't specific, but he had some soreness. Today, you had an offense with no Austin Jackson, no Alec Ingold, and no Tyreek Hill. So take it away, Poop, because I read on Miami Dolphins on SI.com a couple of times the defense dominated. I might have read that 3 times in the practice report. I know I read it right at the end and right at the beginning.
Yeah,
and you're right. You're right. You're right about that.
4. I mean, wow. And whatever plays the offense made, it seemed like it was like a struggle to get anything going. There was one play that stood out, was like a no-look pass from Tua, where he's looking at the sideline and he kind of flicked it over the middle to Jalen Waddle. A couple of other isolated throws, Zach Wilson mostly. Really, really not good. And you forgot about Tyreek also. There was another time where he was late for stretching. He did practice, but he was late for stretching because he was, as he so eloquently put it, dropping the kids off at the pool.
Yeah. Well,
and by the way, go ahead.
I don't want to dwell on that, but I will say this to your contention that the defense dominated. My stock up today was Willie Gay Jr. because the dude was all over the place, and my stock down was Daniel Brunskill because he struggled in one-on-one and in team, had a bad snap. We know Andrew Meyer is out. The offense, it was a struggle. And I had a couple of fans come up to me after practice and say, hey, anybody who says that this offense should trade Tyreek or it could do without Tyreek, they should have been here at practice today. I kind of agree with that assessment. Although that's a little, far, but they do need Tyreek. Today wasn't the testament, but they do need him.
Well, here's the thing. I think it can be an efficient, effective offense without Tyreek. It can't be dynamic or explosive without Tyreek. Right. I'm sorry, because you're going to see the field get constricted pretty badly and pretty quickly if Tyreek's not there. Pardon me. And for those who don't know the euphemism, because I think most people know, but some people might not know, the euphemism dropping the kids off at the pool basically means he went to do number two. Take care of number two. Here you go.
Yes.
And I don't mean like when he was doing this, sprinting past the Baltimore Ravens defender in the 2022. Look at what he did. No, it's not what his birthday. Actually, there is a birthday shout out. Good friend, media member Larry Bluestein celebrating his birthday, and they just showed up because I was doing this. Wasn't trying to do the balloons, but the balloons showed up. So happy birthday, Blue. One of the nicest men you'll ever meet. Anyway, we digress. You mentioned Andrew Meyer. So again, we'll keep an eye on Tyreek for seeing whether he'll work in Chicago. And this is where I guess I should pivot to the schedule. This was the first practice, the last practice in Miami Gardens until the week of the Jacksonville preseason finale. They're scheduled to practice in Chicago on Thursday afternoon, which is not going to be a very intense practice. It may be a lot closer to a walkthrough than anything else. They're practicing with the Bears or against the Bears, however you want to call it, on Friday. Preseason game on Sunday. Traveling to Detroit, practice by themselves. Might be another walkthrough on Tuesday. Practice with the Lions. Wednesday, Thursday, game the following Saturday. You mentioned in Tyreek Hill, not that he was going to play anyway, but the fact that he missed practice, that he ain't playing, and a lot of your friend guys players are not going to play. You mentioned Andrew Meyer. Mike McDaniel told us before practice on Wednesday that he's going to be missing quote unquote weeks, and it's not like the offensive line really can afford more injuries to their more dependable backups right now.
He was the best backup because I know that somebody on social media told me that they had heard he's killing it. I don't think any backup offensive lineman is killing it, but he was clearly the best, and he was definitely playing well and making progress. So it's going to be interesting to see how they make up for that and how long they think they have to go before they go outside the roster. Yeah, Brunskill has he's definitely struggled, but this backup injury. I mean, this backup offensive line situation. It just I don't see anybody making progress. It either stays stagnant or it gets worse. And we saw the edge rushers, the backup edge rushers having good days again. We saw some of the defensive backs coming in unblocked, although Pharaoh Brown did have a nice block on Minkah Fitzpatrick once and twice. Okay, there were some snapshots of offensive linemen doing good jobs. One time I saw Larry Borum pick up Mike Hilton. The only problem was Chop Robinson looped around and got a sack untouched. And so I don't know if that was the defense outnumbered the offense up front or if it was a miscommunication. But this is pretty much all against the backup offensive line. I don't think the first team offensive line had the guys coming in unblocked today, the defensive backs I'm talking about, or anybody really.
Wow.
So
I'm not revealing.
Go ahead.
I'm sorry. I didn't mean to interrupt, but I'm not revealing state secrets that Borum is doing the first team reps at right tackle while Austin Jackson is out. So that play you're
Yes.
referencing was against the first team.
Yes, that's true. That's true. But I think that the backup offensive line, they've got a lot of work to do there.
No question. Okay, the other bit of news involves Darren Waller, and Mike McDaniel was asked for an update, and he kind of hinted that it's imminent, his practice debut. And he said the part that it's tricky is, do you really want his first practice to be a joint practice? Well, the problem is you got joint practices the next 3 weeks. I mean, exactly how long are we going to wait? So I don't know. I get the feeling it's going to be sooner rather than later that he's back at practice. And by the way, I don't know if you saw him on the field today. I don't know what football shape is, but the dude's got a six pack.
Yeah.
The abdomen is like he's got those waves of muscular waves in the stomach. Not that I've ever seen anything come close to that on my particular stomach, but that dude is like, I mean, or washboard abs, whatever you want to call him.
Yeah.
I mean, he's ripped.
Yeah, he is. And again, I don't know how you get into football shape without playing football, but they could use his hands out there. We saw Julian Hill make a nice catch. He got popped by Jordan Brooks, but at least he held on to the ball. It was a good play by both of them, Brooks and Hill, but I give Hill more credit because his hands are suspect and he held on to that ball. But just getting back to Waller and the need for the receiving tight end, they have not filled that gap, and I don't know that they can with anybody currently on the roster. It's largely inline tight ends except for Tanner Connor, and I haven't seen enough from him. He'll be there for special teams, but from scrimmage, I'm not relying on him.
You're a Tanner Connor hater.
And no, realist.
Okay, speaking of Ers, we had the great quote from Derek McClendon. And my man Perks asking him how he's coming along in terms of setting the edge, and he's like, "No, I got that down. I'm an edge setter and quarterback go-getter."
Yeah, that was a great quote. I like talking to McClendon, man. D-Mac, as Jalen Phillips told us. He's a dog. He's a straight dog.
Yeah, but he's still in the fight for a roster spot because the Dolphins have a surplus of edge defenders with him, Grayson Murphy, Cameron Good, Mohamed Kamara. Who's the other one? I'm missing somebody.
Grayson Murphy, Quentin Bell, Derek McClendon, Mohamed Kamara, Cam Good.
Okay, that's besides the three who are locks to make the roster: Phillips, Bradley Chubb, and Chop Robinson. So those were the bits of news. As far as now, now practice stuff. Jason Marshall Jr. practiced. I know he did position drills. I'm not sure I recall seeing him on the field during team reps. Ifeatu Melifonwu did some team reps. Malik Washington wore the orange jersey, had the long reception from Tua at practice on Tuesday. He did fail to come up with a catchable pass in the end zone, however, which is why I was a hair surprised that he got the orange jersey, but what the hell do I know? And again, it follows the pattern of a returning player, and this is where Perkins and every other beat writer not named me, I'll be like, Willie Gay Jr. needs to get the orange jersey. And by the way, then he had a great day again, like a pass batted down at the line of scrimmage. He had a stuff on a run. He had one sack, even though a lot of the media members, including this guy over here, will give him two. And I will tell you what happened on that play, and you guys can decide. Is he got past this guy, but got pushed to the side a little bit, and then he got close to, I think it was Zach Wilson, and immediately raised his arm like, I got him. But while he's doing that, Zach Wilson had stepped up in the pocket to me, where it's like, I don't know if you would have gotten the sack. I mean, it was like, to me, premature celebration there of like, I got the sack. So anyway, but at the very least, it was the pressure. He made the quarterback uncomfortable in the pocket. The bottom line is, again, he had a very, very busy, productive day after what was his first quiet day of camp on Tuesday.
Yeah, he did. And this is a guy who continues to make plays, and the Dolphins need playmakers on that defense. We know that they had a franchise record 56 sacks 2 years ago. It went down to 35 last year. And kind of on that same vibe, they had I'm trying to think their takeaways. 10 takeaways last year?
15.
Or 15. Yeah. So they need somebody who can make stuff happen on defense. That's why I like Willie Gay Jr. That's why I like those backup edge rushers, because those guys can all do stuff. It's why I like the front seven. That front seven continues to be active and continues to make plays.
Yeah, but as you made the point, I think it was yesterday or on another outlet, because you're omnipresent, ubiquitous. When the backup edge defenders are producing to the level they are, is it that the Dolphins' backup edge defenders are really that good, or is the backup offensive line that problematic? And to me, I kind of lean toward more the offensive line being problematic. Not to say that the backup edge defenders are talented, but generally speaking, you're looking at young, unproven guys, and that's. I mean, I find it pretty nice coincidence that all 5 of them are like balling out, at the same time. I could be wrong. Been wrong before. We'll be wrong again. Practice started with the one-on-ones. What I noticed again, I thought the offensive line really had the better of that set. Patrick Paul again. Nobody's getting anywhere close to around them. It was like it's crazy. Most of the offensive linemen dominated. The one guy on defense who I thought did very well was Matthew Butler.
Yep.
The defensive tackle picked up off waivers from the Las Vegas Raiders. And then I generally don't watch receivers against defensive backs because it's so slanted for the receivers. Why? Because they know where they're going, and you have to cover half of the width of the field. But there was one rep I saw, and it's Storm Duck against Taj Washington, and the coverage was really, really tight, except Taj was a little bit late turning his head, got his hand on the ball. Sorry, Duck was a little bit late. Got the ball up in the air, and Taj Washington did a really impressive job of keeping focus on the ball the entire time and made the catch. Anything stood out to you in the one-on-one drills?
I thought the first team offensive line had great success. Among the backups, I thought the defensive line had more success.
Okay. That's it.
That's it.
Very succinct. I like that.
Brunskill's trouble. Oh, you know what? I don't know. I try to read everybody's stuff, and somebody did note. I think it was you that Kenneth Grant knocked Jonah to the ground on one rep, and that's the second time that I've seen that. Now Jonah usually beats Kenneth Grant, but Kenneth Grant shows some strength, and being able to knock Jonah down. I don't know if he catches Jonah and with bad fundamentals every now and then or what, but it says a lot if you can knock Jonah backwards on the ground. That's happened at least twice.
Okay, well, I wrote that, and it was not on the one-on-one drill. It was like, it was in teams. There's a run by Devon Achane up the middle, and I look over, and Kenneth Grant, like, literally grabbed Jonah and threw him to the ground.
Yeah.
I was, damn.
Yeah.
Like, damn.
Grant, yeah, he flashes some really good stuff. I've liked him, and I know that you haven't seen much, you say, from him. I haven't seen a pass rush from him, but in run, and occasionally in one-on-one, I like what I see from the youngster.
I saw something there. Let me tell you, because that was impressive.
Yep.
We mentioned the blitz pickup. Yeah, the Farrah Brown got 2 of those. One was against Minka, who, by the way, I mean, he's really good. I'm sorry, the dude's really good. Was he sniffed out? I know there was one play. It's the old play the Dolphins run all the time. It's the fake handoff and the rollout, and then you throw it to the guy running across underneath. And the Dolphins were trying to run that with Malik Washington, and Minka was like didn't bite, and he just ran with him the whole time. And Tua was looking over; he's got nowhere to throw, and he just basically threw it into the ground. It was very impressive play. There was another play where on a blitz he came beeline to Tua, which in a game either is a throwaway or a sack. So, but yeah, spoiler alert: the guy's pretty good.
Yeah, that doesn't surprise any of us. That's make it. And I'll say this on a more serious note. Minka has the other safeties aside from Minka will get tremendous help from Minka, so they're going to have some time to grow. We see Iffy out there. We see Ashton Davis out there. Elijah has been okay, but he's been in the red jersey the last couple of days. But you see Jordan Colbert, he had a big hit against Andrew Armstrong, right, today. You see John Saunders Jr. Flashing. So I've been impressed by the safety depth, and I asked Mike McDaniel about it today, and I should have been more specific because I wanted him to kind of break it down player by player. That's my fault. I asked a very general question and got a very general answer. I know I need to go back to J school, but he did, say that it's a very competitive group, and that's how I see it. They've done a really good job. The cornerbacks, I'm not sold at all, but every day I see a little bit more from that safety depth. I think they're going to be okay there. We knew they'd be okay with Minka and Iffy if he could stay healthy. You were wondering about Ashton Davis because he's been mostly a special teams guy. I think he was solid when he was in there. I don't know that he was in there very much during pads, but anyway, yeah. But Elijah, we haven't seen those safeties getting burned on a regular basis. They will get something over the top every now and then, but in general they've done pretty well, I think.
This is a point where I'm going to be old curmudgeon guy and say Mike McDaniel saying that the competition at safety, it's a competitive group. What is he going to say? You know that's coming a mile away. Go ahead.
I will say this: when I asked about Grayson Murphy today, who has done a good job, he did point out that to be an edge rusher in this defense, you have to on first and second downs, rather, you have to be able to set the edge. And he did say that he's a raw, talented pass rusher, but he needs to know how to, not overrun the quarterback and not open up the C gap. So he did, he did kind of push back against my 2 cents of worth of analysis there. But I still like Grayson Murphy. But yeah, Mike McDaniel most of the time is going to pump his guys up, as we know. He's not going to nitpick. He's going to pump them up and say that they're doing well and up with people and all that.
And to be fair, that's most coaches in the NFL would tell you that at every position. You ask them, right, how's they looking at a position? Oh, it's very competitive.
Right.
The guys, they're showing improvement daily. They're learning from their mistakes. I like the intensity. It's a very competitive group. You will get that. All the time. For me, there's nobody that really. All of them have made their plays at some point. Colbert, John Saunders Jr. If he hasn't been there long enough to do something, Elijah Campbell, I don't think has really made any plays. But I don't know that any of them is like, I feel really, really good about that guy. It's too early. It's too early for me to make that assessment. I was going to say something and I lost my train of thought here. The quarterbacks.
Yeah.
Here's what I would tell you. Tua did not have a good day, and Tua even after practice said the defense had the better of the offense on this day. Misfired on a couple of them. Now, were there some of those where his miscommunication, the receiver wasn't exactly where he was supposed to be? I don't know. I wasn't in the huddle or in the meetings where exactly the route's supposed to be run, but there were some misfires. There was a throw to Jalen Waddle deep down the sideline that took too long to get there. By the time it got there, Waddle was basically on the chalk, and the pass wound up being out of bounds. But there wasn't anything that really stood out. It was not a very impressive performance by the first-team offense in the passing game. Quinn Ewers had a couple of decent throws, but nothing that really stood out. I think some folks need to slow the roll with Quinn Ewers, who's a good-looking rookie 7th-round pick and probably looking better than anybody had a right to believe. But this notion that he's like, if something happens to Tua, skip right past Zach Wilson, go to Quinn Ewers. No. And then there was one play where he scrambled, and I wrote in my notes, and it's in my analysis on Miami Dolphins on SI.com, that he is clearly the slowest afoot of the 3 quarterbacks. And it's not close.
Right. I agree. And I think that if Quinn Ewers was a 3rd or 4th round pick, you wouldn't be as impressed with him. He's a 7th round pick. He's got nothing to lose. And so you're like, wow, this guy. But yeah, if he was a 3rd or 4th round pick, you'd be going, yeah, he needs to sit a little. He needs a little more seasoning. I see some potential in him, but he's not ready yet. And in general, I think that's where he is. But you're right. Overall, it was a nondescript day for the quarterbacks. None of them looked especially bad, but definitely none of them looked especially good.
If I'm looking back to me, I thought the offense was not productive in the passing game,
Right.
either with Tua or with Ewers. Zach Wilson had some up and down. He had a couple of throws that were like really poor. He had one that was like a wide receiver screen, I think, to Malik Washington, and he kind of hurried it and put it at the guy's feet when there was. I mean, I don't know if there's a clock. He has to get it off in 0.3 seconds. It seemed hurried where it didn't need to be that hurried, and the throw was really poor. He had another one that was way off the mark, but he also had some really, really pretty throws. There was one, I mean, holy smokes, he's rolling to his left, and he throws like a perfect pass down the field about 25 yards to Eric Ezukama, who now did have to dive to make the catch, but it wasn't like it was like the greatest catch in the history of the NFL. It was a good catch. It was a better throw when you consider he's throwing on the move to the wrong side. I mean, that was impressive. Ewers did have a nice throw like that, but he was rolling, and it may be a matter of seconds before Perk disappears from the screen. I think it sounds like some calamitous thing is about to happen over there. But so, Perk, if anything happens, love you, buddy. It's been a pleasure knowing you. But hopefully this is just
That's right. Hey, let me say this real quick about Quinn Ewers. I'll try to talk over the drilling behind me here. I did make a note. It seemed to me like his snaps got reduced today, and I thought maybe yesterday. I don't think it's a negative. I don't think it's a punishment. I opined, we're not supposed to speculate, so I opined that maybe he's going to be the starter against Chicago, and maybe they're kind of ramping up his work. And maybe he's going to take more snaps, and maybe they're getting him prepared for that. But I'm getting Zach Wilson ready, I should say. But I thought Quinn's snaps went down, especially in the situational drills today. That it seemed like it was Tua and Zach Wilson, and Quinn came back in that final 11-on-11 segment. For what it's worth.
Yeah, to me, logic says it's. The logical move would be, give Zach Wilson the first half, give Quinn Ewers the second half.
Yeah.
Don't need to see Tua. Get the other two guys somewhere. But, I thought he had some nice work. I think you're the one who mentioned this before, and it may be before because they're practicing quite a bit on the same units without mentioning which one. That Quinn Ewers has a nice rapport with Theo Weiss Jr. They have a connection. And that may have been the pass where I was referencing where it was, right? Ewers rolled out to his right and beautiful throw.
Yep.
And the last play of practice was a connection, the back of the end zone, and it was a little too far, and Weiss couldn't get his feet in bounds. Would have been a great way to end practice for the offense. That didn't work out. Eric Ezukama showed up today, had, in addition to the one catch I referenced, he had another catch that was pretty good. And you referenced the Jordan Brooks shoulder into Julian Hill, and the Jordan Colbert hit collision with Andrew Armstrong. Remember, they're not tackling; they're thumping, is what they call it.
Yep.
In terms of the receivers, I don't know what directives the players have. So I don't know. I don't know if it's a little over the top for Jordan Brooks to throw his shoulder into Julian. And I don't know if you notice after that, he's standing on flexing on top of that. And it's like,
yes.
And I'm okay, great. If the guy doesn't know it's coming, I mean, congratulations. You hit a guy who wasn't expecting it and he fell.
I listen, I give Julian Hill a ton of credit. The crowd cheered. But to hold on to that ball, because I think Julian Hill, he can't say anything to a vet like Jordan Brooks, but I'm sure Julian Hill was like WTH, what the hell? Like, see what I did for your podcast? But yeah, I don't think Julian Hill suspected, because that was like a real hit. That was like a real bam, shoulder into you. And look, props to Julian Hill. You held on to that ball. You're a grown man.
Yeah, and since I know the comments are coming that like Boop, you're a big wuss. I'm not. I played contact hockey, so no. But let me know if the contact is okay, then let me plan accordingly. As opposed to if so. And again, I don't know what the rules of engagement are for the Dolphin practices. I don't know if receivers are fair game or it's one of those where if you can't avoid contact, they have a right to throw the shoulder. Not sure. And the other one, Andrew Armstrong was not able to hang onto the ball when he collided with Jordan Colbert, which to me didn't look as deliberate as Jordan Brooks. Right. That looked kind of more like a collision where Jordan Brooks went to Julian Hill and basically did one of these. So.
Yeah, I thought the Jordan Colbert, I thought that was a bad throw. I think that was Zach Wilson. That was a rib splitter throw. I mean, Armstrong did a good job to continue to go for that. I guess when you need a roster spot, you've got to, but that was like 6 cracked ribs on that one. So Colbert, there was nothing he could do. I mean, that was just a bad location for that pass.
Yeah, and that's what happens with Wilson. I don't want to make it sound like I'm like pumping his stars all over the place. Yeah. He's made some like really, really pretty throws. Yep. The consistency certainly is not there from throw to throw, and that's, again, given his history, not necessarily a revelation. But he still, to me, I think has performed as well or better than anybody had a right to anticipate coming into his first training camp with the Dolphins.
I would agree. Zach Wilson is still my number 2 quarterback. We'll see what happens in joint practices, but I think it's also political when Mike McDaniel says he was a direct calculated target. He's making $6 million and blah blah blah. So we'll see what happens there. But Zach is going to be your number 2.
But beyond that, I mean, let's be honest. I mean, if they have a game tomorrow and something happens to Tua, who do you want in the lineup? Do you want the guy with the 33 career starts or whatever, however many it is, or the rookie 7th round pick? I'm sorry.
Right. It's the guy with the experience.
Correct. Okay. Yep. So it's not, but I agree that plays a part in it as well. So, by the way, since we're talking about political reasons, and this brings to mind me, Cam Smith and 2nd round pick, is that going to keep him on the roster? He, again, was not at practice today, nor was Alec Ingold, who remains in the concussion protocol. And Ashton Davis, obviously, who was working on the side, still has a walking boot. And still no Austin Jackson, no Bayron Matos. And I think those were about and no Dante Trader Jr. So that's disappointing because I know Mike McDaniel had said he was targeting the joint practices for him to get back to action. Clearly not happening. So we'll see. Any final thoughts, Perk, before I say goodbye for a couple of weeks?
Yeah. When you said political reasons, I thought you were going to say Tua on the President's Fitness Council, but that's it. Yeah, that's it. That's it. That's it. We're not getting political. We're not getting political. But yeah. So, all right, Poop, I will see you in a couple of weeks.
Yes, sir. Okay. So here's Chris Perkins from the South Florida Sun Sentinel. Please check out his fine written content. Can I ask you about the Dolphins deep dive with Perk? The status of that? When's the next?
Yeah, you can. It's still undetermined. Well, now Furones is going to be in Chicago, so I would have to get together with him on his schedule and when we could do it, but still to be announced.
And we all know how high maintenance that dude is. He's going to be like,
Perk. Right.
I joke. We love him.
We do.
I kid because I care. Check out my content, that of the team at Miami Dolphins on SI at MiamiDolphinsOnSI.com. Please subscribe to the podcast. Programming notes: I will be in Chicago. I will be in Detroit. There will be podcasts every day, except when the Dolphins are off. Might take a break on Saturday. And there will be, more than likely, will be guests. I may fly solo once or twice. We shall see. Stay tuned to find out, right? Until the next time, thanks everyone for watching. Perk, I will catch you back in South Florida in a couple of weeks.
Yep. All right, man. Hold it down for us.
You got it.